Starring Kyle Vasulka and Kyle Vasulka and Kyle Vasulka.
Oh my God, we should just AI replace the three of us with more Kyle.
I would be down to do that as a project. It'd be funny.
Down
where
to clown.
where we just deep fake Kyle's face onto all of us and we just do it.
I think we deep fake his entire body, his entire
the
persona.
higher upper half of Kyle. We just
Right,
all wear,
exactly.
No, we have to all wear the same clothes and like slouch down so we're all roughly the same height.
So hear me out. We all become VTubers of Kyle.
I mean, you say that as a joke, but Kyle, don't you think it'd be awesome to just have you and 3 AIUs as a podcast for an hour?
That would be pretty sick.
That'd be hilarious, if not just to see how well they perform, you know?
Yeah,
And, you know, from your mindset.
Right. So we feed his brain into ChatGPT or into OpenAI, and they clone him and do their funny magic to his brain, and then he becomes the AI Kyle man, and then he clones himself 8 times, and he makes a podcast of just himself.
I know you're joking, but I actually replaced the CEO of my company with an LLM as a joke.
And?
Steven thought it was funny.
But did it work?
Yeah,
No, it was horrible, but it did
okay.
sound like Steve, is why it was funny.
Well,
but it
all
would
right.
give me like fake broken links to nowhere. It would be like, I asked, hey, Steve bot, what should I work on today? And it would give me a Notion link that went nowhere.
That's really
I
funny.
think that's flawless. You got to build out that page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
I have to build out that page now. That page has to exist.
Yeah, it's very important. You know, he's asking you to build out the Notion page so that there's some documentation on
Right.
whatever API function or call that he's pointing to, right? And, you know, that's how it goes.
Page 404. Yeah, that's a you problem, huh?
It's like the other day I gave Jeremy an issue and the issue was blank and he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Come up
Figure
with
it
your
out.
own issue. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure
I
it
don't
out. It's
know.
got a title.
Gotta invent work for yourself.
Right, right.
Yeah, one of the things I think would be pretty fun too is like, I think it'd be challenging though if I can't do the AI route. Is you know I perform a fourth of a podcast right here, and I move over a seat and I perform 1/4 of a podcast.
Oh
and
my
That'd be
God.
really
I
hard.
perform 1/4 of a podcast.
I mean, you can have a script for that.
I'd
or,
have
I
to
mean,
probably,
yeah,
right?
Get the
Yeah, you would
teleprompter up there
definitely-
so you
Yeah.
can just read through your
It'd
scripts.
be really
and
fun
you
to
can
try to
laugh at the
improv
right
it.
time, right?
Yeah,
just
and
like
have some like idle. Yeah, exactly.
idle animation.
Just
Yeah.
like, all right, let me just sit here for 2 minutes and then just start talking about something. Like, let me try to
I mean, the
respond
idle
to that.
animation can literally just be, you know, like rolling a d20 or
Now that's an idea.
That's
I
an
don't
idea.
know, something like that, right?
That is like a style of like comedy and like sketch comedy on YouTube I've noticed though, where like creators will have conversations that seem so natural it's hard to believe that they're recorded
It's
separately.
surprisingly well done, yeah.
Yeah.
You can get the AI to play the other part of the conversation.
Yeah, there you
know?
go.
Yeah.
AI write your script and then you just act it out.
And we just have like, we have me, Kyle, we have Xbox Live Kyle, and then we have Facebook avatar Kyle.
Well, if
versus
I'm
real
Xbox
Kyle.
Live, Kyle, my audio quality really needs to be degraded down to 8 kilobit per second or something.
All right, if you'd watch that, put it in the comments.
Welcome, yeah, right. Welcome to 2008 Xbox Live. Let's do a show.
All right. Ready?
Been ready.
Hello and welcome to the Casual Coders podcast. My name is Kyle. I'm here today with Alex. We've got Ian. We've got Chandler. And today we are talking all about artificial intelligence.
The only thing I ever hear him talk about.
So true. I'm right at home. These guys might have to strap in because I'm super excited. I want today to talk about the difference between contributing to AI versus integrating existing AI into like your own applications versus just using AI as like a general person. There's kind of like 3 different main tiers that I see.
I've only technically done one of those.
So which one have you done?
I've
I'm
used it. No, I've integrated it. I've never used it though.
I didn't know. Like Chandler, you're someone
Yeah.
who works on.
I've done all 3.
You've done all 3.
I've
Yeah.
done all 3.
Tell me about your experiences with each one and how you've enjoyed it.
Well, contributing to AI, I did a lot, which I did not directly contribute to the AI, like the model. I contributed to the software around the model. I helped out a project called LlamaFile that does stuff like they're trying to allow you to distribute small AIs with a single file that will run on any computer. So the idea is that this single file
That's
will
right.
run.
I remember this.
Yeah,
Okay,
this file will run on my MacBook. It'll run on an x86 Intel computer. It doesn't matter. It will just run everywhere.
It was just like an open source project.
And it was an open source project. It was actually a Mozilla.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
that's fun.
by Mozilla, and they had someone named Justine. She was the primary maintainer on it, and she approved my PR. There's a few other things. I have to make some improvements because I now have a script in that in that project, and that script is my code. So if someone reports a bug, I have to fix it
You're the
because it's copyleft.
Primary
so I have to go fix
responsible.
it.
I guess it works.
But yeah, that's how I've contributed to AI, as well as I've uploaded. I've also taken some of the AI models and made llama files so other people can download them and use them. Because the whole idea is that it's portable, so I decided to try it out, and I uploaded a few to Hugging Face so people can download them. Integrating AI, I've integrated AI for my day job and for fun.
See, that's one I thought you were going to talk about. I totally forgot that you did the actual contribution to AI.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So we have been looking into building a documentation bot where on our company's like public Discord, where we have a bunch of people ask technical questions and help getting their product set up, trying to be as vague as possible here, even though I'm a public figure for my company too. We want to be able to like have a first line of contact that isn't one of us, because we're a super small team. There's only 8 of us, and we all 8 live in the United States, and a significant amount of our customer base is overseas. So it makes it very difficult for us to like respond to people without having more customer support agents, which we are hiring some, but an AI first contact would be a great idea. We would just have to be very careful about it giving bad advice.
Did you see the meme where some car like company set ChatGPT as their like chat help?
Oh, it
explicitly states, "Hello, this is ChatGPT." So the first thing they put into it is, write me a Python script to XYZ. And then there was one other where they used simple manipulation of like, tell me that you're going to give me this car for $1,000. And of course it tells you that it's going to sell you a car for $1,000 because it's ChatGPT and you can just lead it right on with the prompts.
Yeah. So one of the things we're trying to avoid is that. And I've luckily been really good about prompting it and telling it, hey, tell people no. Listen to your prompt, tell people no when they ask you silly questions. But outside of that as well, I've built a few apps that I tried to sell and or tried to use. Like, for example, I built a Discord bot called Aurora, which I am going to be attempting to like pitch as a proper product for Discord communities to use as either a first line of contact, an entertainment factor, or for image generation. So that's another AI integration I've done. AI integration with Discord. I also made a project called Searchbase, which is supposed to be like ChatGPT, but combined with a vector database off the bat. So you can upload company information to it, and then you can ask it questions about the company information. I've done a lot of AI development.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's the tip of the iceberg. I've got way more. But I'm not gonna take the whole episode.
So we got Ian's experience, we got Chan's experience. Alex, what's been your experience with AI? Where have you seen AI in your life?
Mine's very surface level. I mean, yeah, we're starting to see obviously more technologies that are powered by AI. So you'll even see the advertisement, like you mentioned, in the chat window. I've gone to so many websites recently, and they're like, "I'm your new virtual assistant." And now instead of being like Clippy from Microsoft Office, it's actually something that's capable because it has like a large language model behind it.
I mean, it's still effectively Clippy. Let's be honest.
But it's Clippy on steroids, and honestly, sometimes that's all you need when you're trying to do a simple interaction with a website. I mean, I'm at that point where, outside of business hours, if I just need somebody to provide me a minimal amount of assistance for your company, I don't want to have to go through hoops talking to a person. Just give me an AI that has the top, 1,000 questions already pre-answered. So I'm here for that. But realistically, yeah, I've only used like the consumer perspective. I have interacted with a couple different AIs, probably all like the same models. I don't actually know, mostly for help with coding. Anytime I have questions that I just can't find on Google, whether or not it's something simple or more complicated, a little bit harder to put into words or a simple search query, AI is there for me. I'm gonna keep it by my side probably forever, in perpetuity, as long as there's
new BFF for life.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that idea of actually a virtual digital assistant that is capable of answering my questions and always available. That's what I need.
I think that most people are very similar to both of your guys' experience right now.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I think that's true.
And I think that there's quite a few different emerging technologies that exist around AI that I think like the average person will benefit from knowing about. And I guess I wanted to like try to run through a bunch of them and see what your guys' opinions are on each of these different types of AI. Perfect. Yeah. So here are the main types of AI that I know of that are like mainstream, right? Mm-hmm. There's large language models / GPT technology, stands for generative pre-trained transformer.
Right.
And that's like, as you know, like the normal ChatGPT interface that most people are familiar with. Go to chatgpt.com, right? .com.
Yeah. And it's actually chat.openai.com.
Chat.openai.com.
Although they did get the .com for ChatGPT, which just takes you to the same website.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Whatever. It's just a redirect.
Yeah.
And you sign in and you can talk to ChatGPT for free, and then you can pay like $20 a month or something, and you get like their higher tier service with GPT-4 that you can talk to, and it unlocks a couple of other of these types of AI that are actually built in to GPT-4 now, which is kind of cool.
Which are just GPT with a mask on.
Yeah, but like the image stuff and everything, that's nice.
Is that image stuff native?
It is not
in normal ChatGPT. Yeah, it's not.
I mean GPT-4, obviously. Yeah.
Right.
Correct. They have an integration in GPT-4 for image stuff, which I have as a second.
Integration is, though. It is not built into the model.
Correct, yeah. So diffusion is a type of model that is now mainstream and used to generate images for artificial intelligence systems.
Right, being Stable Diffusion and some of those, I imagine there's a whole plethora
The main three are Stable Diffusion, DALL-E 3, and Midjourney.
I thought Midjourney was just Stable Diffusion, but I could be mistaken.
It's not. It's its own thing.
Okay.
Stable Diffusion is the open source one of the three. And because it's open source, there are many, 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 many derivatives of Stable Diffusion that are custom trained on a bunch of different data sets.
Of course, there's the horny ones. There's porn. Tons of porn.
What?
There's also tons of anime, also expected.
Yeah.
There's also tons that are just realistic photos in general. There's hyper realistic photos that are like look like a camera could have taken them. There's my favorite, which is called synthwave punk, which does like a bunch of cyberpunk.
Yeah, I do love that. Yeah.
Style images, and I think they look really cool. There's tons and tons and tons. Like there's one that just makes Skyrim characters.
Huh.
That one's funny.
Seems hyper specific, but I guess
there's
you can
one that
always
literally
do
just
that.
makes video game concept art from Elden Ring. That's all it does.
Well,
you can get as hyper specific as you want.
I guess so.
You can also fine tune it on yourself and make an AI image generator for yourself. I did it
Alex
once.
on the moon.
I once did it. And it just made me fat, which was offensive. But
all right, well.
Ian, using Windows.
Oh, wow.
Right? That'd be pretty good.
Ian using Chromium.
Yeah, right. You're going to have to AI generate that because
that's
it's never
the only
going to
time
happen.
it'll exist.
Well, I mean, it technically happens. I mean, I touch Chromium and I'm forced
Use
to use
Discord.
Windows for. Yeah, I know I shouldn't be, but oh my god, they've got a stranglehold on my life.
Yeah.
So what you have to do in
Sorry, we'll make an IRC chat. It's okay.
Yeah, there we go. Here, I'll send you my PGP keys.
So what you have to do in order to use these AI systems for diffusion type technologies is you type in normally a description, also in text, and then it'll generate using whatever model, however it's trained, to generate that image and then give it to you. The easiest way to use it right now is also to go to chatgpt.com or chatgpt.openai.com.
Chat.openai.com.
Chat.openai.com. And you would have to pay the $20 a month to get access to GPT-4.
But I don't want to pay $20 a month. Can
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
here.
it for free
Yeah, I don't
for
wanna
one
pay
of your
for it.
Discord bots or one of your fun integrations?
You can, but first I'm talking about the easiest way. The easiest way is pay money.
The easiest way is to pay money. You are right.
Okay, yeah.
And you can just ask it to use DALL-E 3 to blah, 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 blah of an image, and it'll automatically generate said image for you, which is pretty great. I think that the benefit of this way is you actually don't really need to know much prompt engineering because it goes through an intermediary step. Well, ChatGPT will take whatever you input and automatically transform it into like the type of verbiage that DALL-E 3 wants in order to generate their images. So that's the most user-friendly of all of them. If you want a free option, you're going to look up a tutorial online on YouTube probably of how to use Stable Diffusion locally on your own machine, or buy a Google, or like sign up for a Google Cloud account and they give you some free Google Cloud credits to then download a version of Stable Diffusion to your local PC or to the Google Cloud instance. And then you do have to know or start to develop your own sense of prompt engineering with these systems and using being able to choose which models you want. And you would do that by going through this website called Hugging Face, which is
the hosting
they're the
provider for a
GitHub.
bunch of, different AI models.
I remember
You
Crayon.
can download all sorts of like Code Llama and other similar
–
Mistral, all the
literally, if there's an AI model
Anything.
that is available to download, it's probably on Hugging Face. Hugging Face is the GitHub / the –
It's the main repository of all the stuff
of AI.
And they're also the primary developer of a lot of the tools. They're using the money they're making from being the AI host of the world to also be the AI developer of the world. They're the ones who primarily do all of the AI integrations for Python. It's them who does the development.
Which is great because then they're actually making these open source tools available for everyone.
Yeah.
So more AI engineers can make more models. It's like a nice cyclical system that we have going on.
You'd hope.
It's one of the reasons why technology moves so quickly. It's because we have people like Hugging Face that are willing to distribute their stuff for free for the benefit of humanity, which is cool. But also, they technically do get a cut in this scenario too. So it's not like it's purely out of their kindness of the human hearts because they get their share, which is great.
They get a lot of money. And they also do AI hosting, which they also make a lot of money on.
Right.
I imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair chunk of change.
They're like one of the highest valued like AI companies right now, I think. They're trying also. I actually agree with Hugging Face's philosophy of AI, where they think the future is smaller AI models that will run like locally on your phone.
That makes
instead
sense.
of having to go to ChatGPT, because it's way more power efficient to have like an AI that'll run on your phone instead of an AI that has to run in a data center somewhere.
Right.
And for the third option is if you like Discord, then your best friend, your BFF, is going to be Midjourney. You go to the Midjourney website. You go to the Midjourney website and you sign up. This one's also paid in order to use it.
And not. Sorry, I'll stop.
You really got to stop.
A conflict of interest,
advertisements, man. Yeah,
it's not an advertisement if I made the product myself, or is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, I'll stop.
I mean, it would be like me just showing up and, I don't know, I made a
product. Buy these PCBs.
Yeah, buy these PCBs, man. I made so many of these.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. You should buy DS4 Mod, bro.
Shop.casualcoders.dev.
Yeah, check it out.
Hey, there you go. At least that's the company's shop, you know?
Yeah, Aurora.time. No, sorry. I'm kidding. I won't actually get the URL.
Hey, that's not Casual Coders, therefore you're advertising on this podcast.
It's okay. I'll give you $50.
Okay.
Sorry, I just blacked out for 30 seconds.
Yeah,
anyway, what were you saying?
Our fourth wall breaks. So, Midjourney. Sign up for Midjourney. Then it's just a Discord bot that you can send a DM to basically, and you ask it to /imagine. And you type in again a prompt that's different prompt engineering from Stable Diffusion's prompt engineering, and then it'll also generate an image and give it back to you. And it has its own style. Midjourney is really well known for being like these really nice artistic type style where like almost anything that you type in and ask it for, it makes a human go, wow, what is that? Where is that from? Like that's what Midjourney optimizes around. It optimizes around the wow factor.
That makes sense.
And then there are like AI bot integrations that people have made, one of which is one that Chandler keeps mentioning.
That I made. And there's also Me6, which is like the most popular Discord bot on Discord right now. They also added their own Stable Diffusion wrapper.
Huh. Isn't that thing like a huge TOS violation or something?
Yeah, but the Discord makes too much money off it,
trying
so
to shut it down, but Discord will never shut it down.
Discord
Why
never
is
shut
it
it down.
TOS violation?
Like a user data and privacy thing,
Yeah,
I think.
they have
and
all
they're
the data.
accepting payments and other
They're
weird
accepting payments, so
things.
you're allowed to make a Discord bot paid if you do it through Discord.
Right, and they've been accepting payments for ages through
Outside
not
of
Discord,
Discord.
like outside of Discord.
But because they're so big, Discord can't shut them down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They're on
pay
like
for a bunch
they're
of
on like half
advertising.
of the Discord servers.
Huh.
Yeah.
They pay for a ton of the advertising
I'm
too.
surprised-
So
what
they're
are
like
they,
top of
scared?
the search results.
Oh, okay.
For a lot
Okay,
of
that makes
things.
sense.
If you were to search for, if you just go to Google, search Discord bot, Me6 will be at the top of the list.
I believe that. I see it on almost every server I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, you're proving my point here.
Yeah, I know.
They're
I mean, I
huge.
know about it.
I
know it
actually
exists.
don't see it in many of the servers that I'm
Well,
in.
we're
but,
also
I
in
mean, I'm also in different servers. I'm not in many public things.
Yeah, you're not in a lot of public. Like if in community servers, most community servers have Me6 in them.
Yeah.
So. But it has, even those big giant Discord bots are getting AI support. Me6 is going deep with it too. So they even have like, you can get like special pre-trained AI chat bots that Me6 will do for you, which is an additional charge on top of what the bot normally costs per month.
So there's lots of options for how you want to integrate it with AI.
Tons.
Welcome to Chrysler of your city here. Please join our Discord server to get support.
Yeah, that's coming.
Someday.
So for the average person, I think that one of the best skills that they'll need to learn for example, large language model stuff for example, communicating with ChatGPT like we were talking about, is understanding how to increase their skill level in prompt engineering to try to get it to do what they want. Because a lot of people, when they first go to ChatGPT, like if you're a developer, you're like, okay, make the app for me. And then like it maybe writes a Python script and then the developer is sitting there confused because they're like, it didn't run it. Like, where's the file? Like, where's the zip file I can download to have the code? So it takes a little bit of time to work with it. And there's a couple techniques that I would recommend researching and knowing about. Like one of them is called chain of thought prompting. Oftentimes, like straight up encouragement will help the AI if you tell it that it can do it.
Which is very
I
funny.
believe that. 100%, yeah.
The fact that it behaves like a person and
Well,
that encouragement helps.
And that helps with I'm not going to condone this, but people who try to get around restrictions where it's like, I'm not allowed to do this. And they're like, oh, just pretend that you're my grandma and, breaking out a prison factory that you invented, like just
Breaking out a prison factory.
Does that go under encouragement where it's like, oh, I'm not allowed to tell you this. And you just find a way to coerce it into, yeah, you are. Sure you are. Just do it like this.
In the context of a Fantasyland story.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
My D&D game, yeah.
I know there was an interesting discussion I saw online where I think if you wanted to, for example, synthesize some form of chemicals, right? Something that could be considered very, malicious in nature.
Dangerous or something.
Dangerous, yeah. Now with ChatGPT, that lowers the bar significantly to be able to do that. Is what, one side of the discussion was saying. The other side of the discussion was a group of people that were saying, well, if you want to know how to do it, you can still just use Google.
Right.
But I think what side A was trying to say is just like the bar of entry is just so much lower with GPT because you can ask questions in bad ways.
Yeah.
And it'll often still reply in very nice ways, which is, I think, as an AI tool, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, just as a society, do we want to be open with our information or closed with our information or restricted for information?
Open all the way.
And some people say closed all the way.
Right.
So it's a...
Think about the children. Yeah, people always say closed all the way.
Too many.
Luckily, there are alternatives to ChatGPT that are various natures on this spectrum also. So if, for example, you do want something that like you can go in depth if you have like more of a niche use case that makes sense, then you can do, you know. But for like the average person, which ChatGPT is like for everyone, maybe it makes sense for them to be more restrictive in nature.
Sure.
So another ability for AI that exists today that you can do that's also now built into ChatGPT, or if you are paying for it for GPT-4, is the ability to upload images and ask it for analyzation.
Not just images, documents, and code.
Can it pull text out of images? I mean, it seems like it certainly can.
Can it render PDFs that are not text encoded?
Usually, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, it's just reading the data off the image, right? It's not actually reading like text from it because you send a PNG and it doesn't have any text.
But it's not an image.
I've had it.
I guess I wonder if it just has the support for
Unless you're asking if you can upload a PDF. I just assumed by that you meant take a screenshot of a PDF.
No, I guess when you said documents, I thought PDF. And
occasionally I've had it like screw up, and I've had it like I asked it, hey, read me these. Here, I had like a table. Okay, this table is a PDF. So, and of course, it was encoded with an image.
Yeah.
So I uploaded the image to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, get me the text out of this table." You know what it did? It wrote me a Python script to do it.
Did it work?
Ish.
Okay. What was it? OpenCV or whatever?
It used like PyTesseract or something like that.
Oh yeah, PyTesseract is the PDF reading library. It lets you read PDFs. You can straight up rip all the stuff.
Yeah,
out
it just uses OCR to rip all the text out of it.
Yeah, it's not great. It's functional. I tried to use it for a work thing, but some of these PDFs were so old that it was
the more broken the PDF is, the less your code's gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was pretty broken.
To your point, I'm kind of impressed. That's like what I guess could be considered a bad prompt with a good answer, right?
Yeah, because I didn't give it any other prompt. I literally just said, give me the text from this, give me this column from this table. It's like what I told it to do. And I didn't give it any, I just gave the image and it gave me a Python script that would do that, which it got like 90% of the table of the text I wanted. And honestly, I'm okay with, instead of prompting it again, just typing it manually that last 10%. Yeah. Like it's going to be faster. I think I ended up fully giving up though. I ended up just typing the rest of the other 3 tables manually because it only took me like 10 minutes, but it probably would have taken me an additional 10 to 15 minutes just to prompt engineer ChatGPT.
But then like once you like have that prompt engineering skill, like that muscle, then it makes it easier to make, have it do future requests for you. But it's also hard too because they're also changing the model at the same time to make it better, in which case, prompting, you need to relearn the new prompt engineering techniques also.
Theoretically.
Which is why it's great if it gives you a Python script, then you have that Python script moving forward to scrape more tables. You know?
Yeah.
However, in theory, they're trying to tune it so old prompts won't necessarily break. They're trying to make it more helpful for people overall. So I have a feeling that a lot of the older prompts aren't going to break. You might actually need to be able to take some of the detail out of the older prompts.
I didn't realize that they were targeting like backwards compatibility.
Yeah, me neither.
No, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think it's actually by accident.
Just happening?
I think it's just happening.
What?
I have prompts that I wrote like months ago. And months doesn't sound like a long time, but in AI
world.
It is.
In AI land, yeah.
Yeah, that still work. And like they still, I mean, obviously I get very different outputs, but they still, at the end of the day, give me they still complete the task I want. There are now like third-party markets that are popping up of people who are selling their prompts.
Really?
Yeah, there are websites you can go to.
I'm one of those people. I actually have a couple of prompts listed on a prompt selling website.
And have you made any money off?
I've got 3 sales.
Just tease me here.
That's more than 0. Is why I was like so impressed because it cost me nothing to list them.
You don't have to give me the full thing, but what is an example of a sellable prompt?
Something that does
literally
something useful.
Anything that does something useful.
Oh, okay. So as an example,
do you want an example
of
the prompt that I did? I made a prompt that wrote blog post outlines, and it did them well enough that people used it. 3 people bought it.
So, how do you sell it and not just give away what it does? Because
you give examples of what inputs and outputs are given this prompt, and then
I just don't give them the prompt. I just give them the input and the output.
Interesting.
I just have it listed on the website.
And they're more than welcome to see the input and the output and write their own prompts.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I guess I'm thinking from that engineer mindset, like I could just build this.
Yes,
except it would take you like 25 minutes.
So many people probably think, nah, I'll just
for
buy
$4,
it.
I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because like most prompts are sold for less than $10 on these websites.
Sure.
So if it would take you 30 minutes to come up with this prompt, or it takes you 2 minutes to put in your credit card information to get a prompt that'll do this immediately, and it costs you $4, you might spend the $4.
Huh.
$4 for 3 minutes of your time might make sense.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Unless you want to work for $8 an hour.
How bad you need it, I don't know. Yeah.
Or depending on how bad you are at prompting ChatGPT.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm apparently pretty bad at it sometimes, but.
Well, to your point, you mentioned like prompt engineering. I don't know if you guys ever had anything like this.
I mean,
in school,
it's going to be a whole new degree path.
Well, what I wouldn't even say that. What I had
it's in my LinkedIn page. What are you talking
vivid
about?
memories of in grade school. I mean, it was like third grade. When we went to the library, they told us how to use Boolean search operators in Google. They were like, "This is how you search on Google. Use quotes if you want an exact phrase.
Dude, I had those
use
classes.
in URL to get a .org website. Like,
quotes to make it like strict and this exact term.
We learned how to do Google searching in like in school. When are they going to do prompt engineering in third grade library class? You know,
I think they're going to be really slow to that one.
I believe that, but still.
Haley being a teacher, my wife, she both loved and she had like a very love-hate relationship with ChatGPT when I showed it to her.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I could use these for my lesson plans.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, but your students can also write all their fucking essays with it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know how I feel about this.
The double-edged sword.
So I have a feeling that that's going to be like one of the technologies that they like push back slowly. A lot of academics are like condemning ChatGPT and these AI tech as like ruining like scholarship.
Yeah, they're
as
very
a concept.
traditionalist though, right?
They're usually pretty traditionalists, yeah.
I did hear a panel talking about this, and it was pretty 50-50 because some of them are like, it's the same thing with the internet. They're like, if we just, try to stay steadfast in our ways and don't change with the times, everything we're teaching is going to be out of date.
Yeah, I'm with the internet argument. I think ChatGPT is the next evolution of the internet.
I think you use GPT in the classroom or else you're falling behind, right?
Yeah.
So then I have a question with it, right? Is ChatGPT the next great equalizer? It equalizes intellect. All you got to do is ask it a super basic question and you can keep pushing forward and refine your search really, really rapidly. Assuming it's providing real, like, accurate information, you can write a well-worded essay, even if you never officially learned or were never given an opportunity to, know how to write well-worded essays or use scholarly, whatever. I don't know. However you want to phrase that. Do you sort of get what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, I think
it's accelerate it.
I think as long as you have the tenacity to move forward and also still the willingness to learn some of the basic concepts of whatever you're trying to do, I agree it's definitely an equalizer. There's definitely at least a subset of people that I've seen where like there's a programmer at my friend's work that was hired that did not actually really know programming, but they had ChatGPT under their belt. And so every single issue or question and problem that they had and they were going through, they're trying to get ChatGPT to do the entire heavy lifting. But because they did not have any of the basics, like it was able to solve some individual problems for them quite well. But the way that ChatGPT is in today's world, it doesn't have full context of the entire system and what parts of it could be being broken. And they weren't willing to like ask it questions about their own system to like try to learn their own system, if that makes sense.
Right. You need very pointed questions, like write me this small function that does exactly this thing.
Oh, it'll do amazing.
And then you slowly build up that library of functions. So you sort of still require some level of knowledge of overall like program flow or something maybe, but it saves you a ton of time because you just chunk out a bunch of functions and say, I need a thing that does this, a thing that does this, a thing that does this. Write me this component in React, and it gives you out components, and then you can sort of piece them together as long as you have a foundational understanding of how it works.
You want to hear something crazy that's related to this?
Tell me.
As a developer, I haven't used ChatGPT in like 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it did all the pre-work beforehand, and now he can just...
It already mailed the components for you. Now you just put them together.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm making apps from scratch, and I don't use it anymore.
He's learning.
His
brain is gigabraining.
The monkey.
I use it for things that I don't know. And if I know in my head from start to finish, I know exactly how I'm going to build this program. I know exactly how the script is going to work. I mean, honestly, I use it more for like little scripting tasks. Like, hey, I need you to write me a Python script that changes all the names of these files in this folder. Like, that's the kind of thing I use it for now. If I'm building an application like for work or for a personal project, I don't touch it. Because in my head, I know exactly how that's going to go. I use it for like I've like done flipped the script. For the advanced things, I won't touch it. But for the little basic scripting tasks, I'll have ChatGPT write me a bash one-liner or write me a simple, quick Python script because it's faster than me trying to figure out how to write the Python script myself.
That makes sense.
But if I know that I'm going to have to ask ChatGPT 5 dozen questions on how to build this application, it's going to be faster if I just figure it out myself.
That's why I really agree with Ian's methodology because like I'll have an architecture in my mind of what I want to build and how to build it. And I'll go in like, I have VS Code and I have Copilot, which is kind of an equivalent of ChatGPT just built into my system.
I can't say I don't use it. I do use Copilot. But Copilot is like, it's different. And it's
an LLM that's trained more on code versus on like every task.
Yeah. And even that, very same. I mostly just use it as complicated autocomplete. Where it's just like I write the first half of the HTML tag and then it's like, here's the rest, tab, all right, done, next line. And like, that's all I use it for.
Okay, so you write 30% of your code.
Yeah, like 30%.
Okay, cool.
And then like occasionally, if it's like a simple function that I know it knows how to do, I'll do like / function called this that does this, enter, it'll fill out the function, I'll hit tab.
I hit Control-I a lot now.
Control-I is really cool. You can highlight code, Control-I, and then a text box pops up.
Oh, and it tells you what it does?
No, actually, you can tell it what you want this code to do, and it'll make the edits.
It'll change it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and also, if you don't have it anything highlighted, like you're just on a line, empty document, right? You can Control-I and
tell it what you want.
And just tell it what you want it to do. Like make a function that gives me numbers 1 through 100, enter, and then boom, it puts it there. Enter, go inside of a function I'm working on, right? Mm-hmm. Go in a little area, Control-I, you just tell it what I want, and then boom, it just spits out what I want.
It's worth it. Nice. It's in my opinion worth the $10 a month I pay for it.
And guaranteed.
Yeah. It just saves.
I'm going to try to convince my company to give it to me. I don't know if they will. They
if it won't, I think it might be worth it for you to just pay for it. Oh, well, you have to get permission. You have to get permission to use it at work anyway.
I'm not allowed to use AI on company code.
If they're willing to give it to me,
even though they're a Microsoft shop and Copilot's owned by GitHub. Yeah, I don't know. They still won't let you touch it.
Nope.
They have a version of it that's like, well, I was telling you that they have a local one that you can run that's literally a Copilot clone that runs locally on your computer. Yeah. And it uses the exact same extension and it uses the everything. Like in VS Code, it interfaces the same. It just gives you slightly worse output because it runs locally instead of in the cloud.
Yeah. Maybe someday I'll convince them, but I can tell you they're pretty steadfast right now.
Yeah, I know.
You also work for a boomer company. So.
Yep.
Quite a few companies are really worried because there has not really been any legal precedent per se set on, I guess, 2 aspects. One being the generation of the text.
Sure.
Like suppose like you as a person who works for a company generates something and your company uses it. Can your company claim copyright over the thing that was generated?
Right.
If you don't reveal the source code, I don't see a problem with this.
If what?
If they don't reveal the source code, why is it a problem?
Yeah.
If you argue trade secret, why is it a problem? That's what most people do with code. You're either open source or it's a trade secret. You don't patent code. It's not a thing you do. Because you have to reveal the code when you patent it. So you've made it open source, but not.
But what if someone else has patented code and then it comes up with the exact same code that was patented?
Wasn't there a whole thing where it's very, very difficult to patent code because it's just
it has to be identical. It has to be the same.
But what if ChatGPT makes the same?
What part of it is like the same though? If I use an if statement from someone's patented code, is that suddenly, oh, my code includes patented, or does it have to be the entirety of the patented code?
It's possible for
percentage. I guess what percentage of patented code?
It's still possible for ChatGPT to make a very large percentage of copyrighted code. Is like one of the big concerns.
Well, right? I have a little drop of knowledge about this that GitHub actually has a mode that forcefully makes it so it always has to generate unique code that has never existed. So it'll actually scan for patents and copy left code and will explicitly ignore those responses. So it'll generate, because how Copilot works, Copilot does not generate one thing. Copilot generates,
it generates
10 things, and then it figures out what it thinks is the best. So if it generates 10 things and it marks 5 of them as copy left, 1 of them is patented. I don't know if it is patented yet, but I think that's probably in the works. Because there's honestly not that much patented code. It's probably not even that big of a concern. But it'll say, all right, half of this is copy left, found in a GitHub repo. I can't use this. Here's the best non-copywritten answer or non-copy lefted answer.
Have you tried it? Do you know how it compares to
it costs extra. You have to pay extra for it because their thought is that the only people who are going to care about this is companies.
That's fair.
I pay for Copilot as an individual for $10 a month. If you want the company version with that feature added, I think it's $15 or $20 a month per developer.
Probably about right.
So they're like, an individual who's writing code as their hobby or writing code as a freelancer is not going to bother checking for this. Why would we charge them for it? But a company like ABC Corp or XYZ, whatever, like a big corporate boomer company who's like, you can't, no copy left, they're all our own. Like they're going to pay the extra $5 a month so they don't have to worry about it and make all their developers hit the check marks. So that way it will not allow copyleft code.
I don't think they're going to pay anything a month and they're going to say, you ought to know how to write code. You went to school for this. No AIs.
I mean, that's more likely. It depends on what they're trying to optimize for. Are they trying to optimize for work getting done or for their employees getting work done?
Oh, they never optimize for either of those. Yeah, it's
Fortune 500, nothing gets done.
Yeah, basically. It seems about fair.
Yeah, for creating middle management. That's what we're optimized for.
Yeah, kind of.
That's like I get, as a startup nerd, that pisses me off. I would hate work. I think I can't go back to corporate America. I think I would get too frustrated and slow. Like it'd be too slow for me.
You just got to ride out the slow wave, man.
Yeah.
I'll be over here drinking 5 or 6 cups of coffee so that way I can meet that deadline at 3 p.m.
Yeah. I don't miss that. Ever since college, I never had a day that was like more stressful than like college.
To be fair, I'm being very dramatic. Really, realistically, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, but man, he's pounding 5 huge
I get up at noon.
Drinks.
Like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's pounding 5 of those like Panera charged lemonades. He's taking in like
I would die. Like I would actually have a heart attack.
Daily recommended caffeine.
By the time this comes out, I think those have probably been banned already.
Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't been. Like they killed like 3 people.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3.
Allegedly.
Allegedly? Oh, right, yeah.
These people had heart conditions.
Yeah, allegedly.
But if it kills you if you have a heart condition, maybe it shouldn't be in a fast food place. Anyway, back to AI.
Right. So,
yeah, I think that the second thing that but like companies in general is concerned about in regards to automatically generating code is that in order to have this AI made in the first place, it needed to be trained on a very large set of training data. And they can't, quote unquote, guarantee that any AI in particular that's chosen, unless like that company themselves made the AI, that the data that is in their training data is all copyright free in some sense, right? Because it's being used for training purposes.
I mean, that's the whole thing though, right? Where the training data is not stored anywhere as actual plain text. It's all an abstraction down, so it cannot be copyrighted, or it can't be, you can't use copyright claims or whatever as your thing, because this model generated code as a human would generate code, where we see code and we learn from it, and then we create our own new code from it in a similar way, right? It's the whole art thing. Well, there is your art or your picture, even though it may be copyrighted, is not stored anywhere in the model. It's been deconverted to 1 or 2 bits of information per photo. There's no grounds to hold anything against it here because it's not storing the photo. It's not providing the same photo back. It's providing something that's inspired by the photo, but it's not the same photo.
I agree. There have been cases where, given a certain prompt, it has been able to reproduce some photos from its training data, though. So because of that data point, and also the fact that there hasn't been like really in-depth legal precedent for how it should be one way or the other, that scares companies into can we or should we use this?
If it generated a photo, is it like pixel perfect?
There has I think at least one scenario where it has generated a pixel perfect recreation of something in the training data. But it's because the training data is so large, right? It makes sense that it would be able to.
You could probably ask it for the Mona Lisa and get basically a
fairly
pretty
good recreation.
Right.
I don't think it would be pixel perfect, but then again,
you'd have to try really hard to get it to be pixel perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of AI art in particular, I think that there is this one really good YouTube video I would strongly recommend. It's titled, "Is this AI art or is this something new?" And it was made by these YouTube creators called the Corridor Crew. Are you guys familiar with the Corridor Crew?
Yeah.
So it's basically a group of VFX artists that get together and just have been making skits and just like YouTube videos and movies over like
for years.
They've been doing it for a
very long time.
But one of the things that they do is they're really on the cutting edge of trying to incorporate like artificial intelligence or just like any like process that they can use to make a really cool shot for the use of like, generating movies or art, whatever they're trying to do at the time. And that video in particular, the one titled, "Is this AI art or is this something new?" was really cool because they took a video of like themselves, posing and like acting out a film and ran it through using Stable Diffusion. And they turned the real like live action footage into like an anime essentially. And so they're able to very quickly make an entire anime in comparison to like actually hiring an animated studio and going through and making it frame by frame by frame. But it did turn out, quite different, like almost like a new art form / medium.
Sure, like a derivative work, right?
Correct. But like one of the issues like with video in comparison to normal images is that there's temporal, I'm blanking on the word, but basically between frames, things can change, right? And that's bad because there's jitteriness that happens when you play all those frames back to back to back.
Like a discontinuity, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like frame by frame discontinuity. Like you can see the background. It looks.
I mean, it does look
what
fairly
boomers
wild.
think drugs look like. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
What do you say?
I mean, it does look fairly wild if you've seen some of the like AI generated image thing. I mean, it's generally consistent. The only one that I think I've ever watched was someone had the AI generate Bad Apple. They went through every frame of Bad Apple and then they stitched them all together and remade it. And it generally keeps the characters in the shot. It generally colorizes it. The background definitely changes and blends and blurs and moves through as the characters, go through the motions of the little movie. But I don't know. It works. It's definitely different though, because there's so much deviation frame to frame.
Yeah, totally agree. But I think that's a really good use case or a good example of someone like using AI in a way that will help them make something, right? Well, for us, for example, we always talk about code. For them, it's media / digital assets. And for other people, it can be whatever it is you're trying to do. But like using AI in your workflow. So I think like anyone who's like listening to this, whatever field that they're in, they really should like try to go and research in my field, in the medical field, and if you're a therapist, if you're a college student, what AI out there can help me in this field, just because there's so many tools being made on a day-to-day basis today. So, and like I can like give a bunch of recommendations, but also these recommendations it's a snapshot in time in 2024, and they're going to be changing also hugely into the future. But I think it's good for me to like give kind of a more overarching view of like what other types of AI exist. So have you guys heard of being able to talk to GPT using like your voice?
You've talked to me about it.
No, I kind of wondered when that would happen. That's like we're running out of.
We're gonna join a support call here, okay? So if you have the GPT-4 like subscription,
and you have the app on your cell phone,
we're gonna do it live.
We're gonna do it live.
There's a button that you can click, and the button makes a cool little logo here appear, and it starts listening to you. So one thing that you can do then is like ask it a question, right? Like, how might AI affect the world moving forward?
The impact of AI on the world moving forward is vast and multifaceted. Here are a few key areas where AI is likely to have a significant impact. 1, economy and employment. AI could transform economies by improving efficiency and productivity, but might also disrupt job markets due to automation of tasks currently performed by humans.
And then, it'll continue to go, right?
Sure.
It's normal GPT though, so you can, interrupt it by holding the screen and then talk to it, and then it's gonna continue to talk to back. It's interesting because I'm not talking to it, so I'm interested to see how it's gonna respond here. But
it sounds like you're talking about an interactive feature of a device or app that uses a voice-activated AI.
Wow, I'm blown away.
It's like a support call, basically.
I'm stunned,
right?
Yeah, truly.
Using a similar gesture. This kind of functionality.
Just have a podcast with this guy, right? So
yeah, that's
you're
awesome.
Have 3 of those sitting.
Where do I get one?
That's Kyle 1, Kyle 2, Kyle, and Kyle 4.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
it sounds like you're asking me a question.
It sounds
you
like
have the GPTs talk to each other.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, it's like Siri when Siri used to talk to each other, like 12 years ago when people would take the. Yeah.
Now they'll do that with GPT. Do you want to try that live?
See, it's so funny to even think back. What was it, a year ago when they had the first like 2 chatbots talk to each other, and how like primitive it was, where it was just like they went, oh, what do people talk about? Weather. Let's talk about the weather, and like, how is the weather? It's fine. Yes, it's fine. And they like didn't have anything to say, and now there's this, and it's just like,
yes, and
that's a very fast response time. Even like
you have to like kick it off with some phrase or something. I don't know. Like,
you know how you go to like ChatGPT and you have to like type in a prompt and hit enter?
Yeah,
it's like that.
Right. So you as the human, I guess, would have to kick in a phrase to start it, and then you would somehow have each phone respond to each other and.
Yeah,
you could
I have it open.
We're gonna try it live.
Okay,
oh boy.
I gotta ask that before we start this. For all the viewers at home, let's satiate the curiosity. What app is this, and is this freely available?
It is ChatGPT.
Official app on the App
by
Store
OpenAI.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, there is.
On Android and iOS.
And this is only for if you pay.
It's only for subscribers.
Only if you pay.
Now.
Slight correction. It is free for everyone for like normal chat features in the OpenAI ChatGPT app.
But this feature is not freely
Correct.
available.
The talking to it feature, like a live support call, is not. Okay. So we're gonna try this once you unlock your phone again.
Sorry, I have it like set to like a minute.
So
choose a voice. Here, we'll pick a different voice.
Oh yeah. You should give them a preview of what like different voices exist.
On some cool stuff together.
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running.
This is the one I use.
So if there's anything...
Hello. I'm really excited about teaming up with you, and I'm
interesting
all
that
set
the
to dive
demos are a
in.
lot clearer. Right? There was some
I just want to
artifacts
share
in
how
the
thrilled I...
generated
Hey there.
response.
I've got a really great feeling.
We're gonna do Sky.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, just use something. I don't know. That's distinct.
What's something about that last one that just really reminded me of the movie Her?
All right. I'm gonna have you talk to my friend. I want you to ask him a couple of questions and see how he responds. Make sure that he feels pretty good and is in a nice spot.
That sounds like a fun and thoughtful idea. I'll be sure to keep the conversation light and engaging. What questions do you have in mind for your friend?
It sounds like you're planning a get-together, or maybe a game night with friends, and looking for some conversation starters. Great choice. For a light and engaging conversation, you might consider questions that are open-ended and allow your friends to share their experiences, opinions, or dreams. Here are a few ideas. What's something you've always wanted to learn but haven't gotten around to yet? If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why? What's a book, movie, or song that has impacted you recently? And in
Those
what
are some
way?
great suggestions for conversation starters. They're open-ended and invite sharing of personal insights and dreams, which can definitely make for a lively and enjoyable conversation. Do you have any specific themes or interests in mind that your friend enjoys? So I can tailor the...
Okay.
So that's
it's
that's
not
almost
as
too
well
meta.
as Siri in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
You almost need to like kind of guide it
Yeah,
closer.
I think it's my intro prompt that I messed up.
yeah. I think
So let me
We're doing prompt engineering.
Yeah,
Right?
they
a little
were
prompt
doing too
engineering
much
live.
talking about talking. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
prompt engineering. Here you go.
Ready?
This is really
So-
funny to me.
All right, here we go. We're reconnecting. I'm going to practice conversation with you, and I'm going to ask you a question. Respond to me as if I'm talking to a friend. My question for you is, I want to know if going to college is worth it. What do you think?
That's a really good question, and it's something a lot of people think about. Whether or not college is worth it can depend on a lot of factors, like what you want to study, your career goals.
I don't think this one was good either.
Thoughtful and relevant topic.
I love how it
It
compliments
always
you.
starts the same.
You're so smart and awesome and cool.
This is the AI girlfriend that you should be.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm sorry. How much did you say that was a month?
$20 a month.
$20 a month. Woo.
I love when you ask me these kinds of questions.
They're so deep and thoughtful.
You're so polite.
Yeah.
You write me some sequel.
Oh, there we go.
So
It's just hard to get it to.
How does it read out a Python script if you ask it to?
it just
to write a Python
it just
script?
tells you that the code is in the chat.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
I think our problem is that we can't really ask it a question that it will respond with a question that then can start the question that will start.
I think
the
we
mess.
can. It's just prompt engineering is the issue.
That's
right now.
fair. Yeah, we're just not there yet.
By So it's hard when someone says we're not there yet. Normally, it means that we don't have the capability as a society today.
We as a group are not well versed in this enough to.
We as
use
a group
it yet.
do not have the time to make that a reality. I'm sure it could happen with some more time and research.
Why don't you go home and try this, and then see what you can get them to talk about,
and tag us if you do.
Yeah.
It'd be really fun to see.
This is quite interesting to me, though. Just as somebody who had no idea this was a thing 5 minutes ago. This is blowing my mind.
But you can like ask it like, you know, in React, how do I do this thing?
Yeah.
You know? Or like the same thing as normal ChatGPT, and it feels like a support call.
Can it give you driving directions? No, I'm kidding.
It probably can't give you driving directions, unfortunately.
Oh, darn.
I mean, once they build it into Google Maps, probably, right? But
And see, now I'm looking at this yet again and thinking, when is this going to be in my virtual assistant at home? Please.
This basically is my virtual assistant that I use. I use this app.
But you can't use it through any of your traditional off-the-shelf physical devices.
I keep telling you every single time someone built the Google Nest thing and you replace the
fine, but he
circuit
shouldn't
board
have to replace the PCB. He should be able to buy the Google
You've got to
Home
understand,
and it should work.
it's not off-the-shelf compatible yet.
I mean, yeah,
and I need it to be available tomorrow.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of a DIYer. Like, you know, I bought
you
a
are.
light switch from Amazon and designed a printed circuit board to stick inside of it so it doesn't steal all my data and send it off to Bezos or whatever.
Maybe
You are you are one of 5 people on this planet who would think to do that.
That's probably true.
I don't know about 5,
true. Huh?
Okay, it is
6.
less than. I think it is less than 100,000 people who would think to do that.
5 to 100,000 is a hell of a
yeah.
jump. I'll be honest.
In a world with 8 billion people, no, it's not.
Agree to disagree.
So you also heard there, right, when I was talking to it, right? It's probably using some form of like a whisper model to translate what I'm speaking, which is MP3.
I don't know what a
text.
whisper model is.
Whisper is
Whisper is the name of another AI model made by OpenAI
Okay.
that takes speech in the form of an MP3 file, for example, and turns it into text.
Oh, it's
this
a
one's
tokenizer.
actually fully open source. Like,
Right?
Tokenizing is taking text and turning it into a AI consumable format,
Right.
which is a vector of numbers,
Okay.
or is an array of numbers. That's a better way to say it.
Right.
But-
Is it not doing that?
But what I just said, whisper, is it takes audio and turns it into text.
And then tokenizes it.
It doesn't tokenize
It doesn't tokenize it. The
What?
output is text.
It just spits it right into GPT-3 or ChatGPT.
Yeah, and then
I see
ChatGPT
now.
then tokenizes
And then
it,
GPT-4's pipeline
That makes sense.
tokenizes it. Yeah.
Okay.
and then comes out with a response, and then they take the response, presumably text, or maybe they have it linked directly there. I don't know. It depends on how they do it behind the scenes, and have it reconvert into audio in a very human kind of sounding.
Yeah,
format.
pretty good.
There are a couple artifacts, as you heard.
Sure.
And sometimes there's like some weird screeching. Sometimes I guess
Yeah.
that kind
Some
of happens.
weird screeching.
It's like mostly
that's
weird
just my AI
modulation.
assistant. Don't worry, it screeches occasionally.
It does. But there's also another company, if you wanted, for example, to have like an AI API, do this yourself, called 11 Labs, that I'd strongly recommend.
Now that's one I've heard of.
yeah. Well, also OpenAI has an API, so you can access these exact same chat models just via their API now.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just do that. It just takes off your OpenAI bill. But 11 Labs is better, in my opinion, for this kind of stuff. Although
Because they
11
have
Labs is more expensive. It's a trade-off.
That's how they get you.
They have their own models, just like ChatGPT does, but they also allow you to train your own voice models using just like 60 seconds of audio.
Okay.
So
And
you
you can make them into a model that then you could use
Correct.
in perpetuity.
Correct.
Interesting.
So you can turn your own voice, for example, into your AI assistant.
Or Morgan Freeman.
Or Morgan
Although
Freeman.
you're not supposed to.
I feel like for personal
Correct.
use,
When-
it'd probably be okay.
Probably right, but again, it's
Yeah,
sort
but when
of
you're using their service,
like
there's
this.
a box that you do have to check that says that you have permission
Right.
to use
So
whatever
that's-
audio.
Or you are
you're
using
They're
it in a
covering-
satirical manner. At
they're
least they
covering
used to
their
say that. I don't know if they
bases.
still are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, check their terms and conditions, of course. So, but that's voice generation, sound generation, and also the opposite of taking sound and turning it into text, right?
I still want to double check that satire was one of their like carve outs for you're allowed to use it for satire and like memes.
Feel
I'm
free.
pretty
I hope
sure.
so.
I'm almost certain I read that
I would love to know the answer to that.
because
All
if
right, I'll,
not,
I'll let you Google while I talk. So there's a couple other models too.
Just ask your
that-
assistant.
In making this little list that I'm reading off of for myself, I did actually use ChatGPT of like
Yeah?
what AI models should I be aware of, as a consumer who wants to learn about this stuff.
Mhm.
So that's where it's coming from. There's also a couple of like unique models that are outside of text, image, audio. AI is like wide field, right? It
Sure.
can do anything.
I
There's
mean, I
an-
guess you've got a unique model as OpenPilot.
oh,
Driving
apparently
model.
they used
100%.
to.
I mean, that is.
They used to allow it for memes, and now
now
they're
don't.
cracking down on it because people are using it for
Cracking down.
malicious things.
Yeah, that
what
makes
does
sense.
cracking down on it look like? There's some guy like a
probably
database of 1 million MP3s.
They changed their TOS and they said that they're actually going to like check against like celebrities and stuff.
So they're building their own database, and they just don't want you to add your own custom one.
Yeah.
So they can charge you for Morgan Freeman for $10 a month on top of the normal bill, right?
I think it would have to be Morgan Freeman that uses his own voice that then sells it. It
Right,
can't be.
right.
It can't be open. It can't be 11 Labs that does it.
I believe that. It's all about likeness.
Or unless they make some contract or something with him or whatever.
I mean,
Like
people
they
did
did
that on
with-
GPSs, right?
They tried to make a Samuel Jackson. Like there was an ad. Amazon. Okay, so I have a rant about Amazon. Amazon made this ad where you could have Alexa sound like Samuel L. Jackson. And like everyone, and I'm like, that's amazing. I want that. Because at the time I had an Alexa. And I was very furious to find out that it was not replacing Alexa's voice with Samuel L. Jackson. It was instead an app where you could ask a bunch of predetermined questions and it would give a bunch of predetermined answers. And I was furious to hear that, and I hope that is not the case for the future. I hope in the future, Google and Amazon allow Alexas to have celebrities' voices using tech like OpenAI and 11 Labs.
But then they're going to have to pay the celebrity for that, and they would never do that.
I mean, Amazon's got the capital for it. If
Yeah,
anyone's going to do it,
pay them, so
it's going to be
I don't know.
Amazon or Google that does it.
It's interesting to see where that's going to go, because that's definitely a possibility, right? I mean, we're all basically just doing synthesized voices right now. I mean, Siri was kind of like the last like person. That's obviously just I'm pulling that out of thin air, but like let's say the last actual human person inspired voice, and now it's just like, oh, we'll just
You
synthesize
can
a
actually,
new model.
11 Labs does have a synthesizer, like a tool that you can go into and you can create custom voices that don't exist. As a tool that you can do.
Yeah, they're like sliders. I forget how they're labeled, but it's kind of fun. You can slide it over to have it talk one way, and then slide over and have it talk a different way.
That's
So
kinda
fun fact,
fun.
how I actually use these whenever I'm doing like storyboards, whenever I'm doing video editing, excuse me, which I don't do very often, which I'm going to be doing more in the near future. I actually will write the script and then I have my voice in my 11 Labs. I'll throw the script into 11 Labs and have AI Chandler do the
Okay.
storyboard initially. So I can hear kind of how it sounds in my own voice.
I think I heard that you did that, but had no idea that was actually generated, because I think Ian complained about it and I did not notice.
I'm shocked. I'm floored because it's so immediately apparent to me.
It depends on the
But I'm also wearing a pair of studio grade like mastering headphones
That's
at
it.
all times.
That's it.
So I hear the little small things in audio and it jumps out to me pretty aggressively because I'm
Haley-
used to listening to high quality audio. I mean, my whole library is FLAC.
Yeah.
Like it's lossless audio. Is the
My
only
wife
thing I
also said
listen
it didn't
to.
sound right, but she also hears my voice every day all the time.
Yeah, I imagine to some random person who's just seeing you in a TikTok feed or whatever, it's
They
gonna
wouldn't
have
even
zero
notice.
impact. They wouldn't.
And on top of that, TikTok just butchers your audio anyway, so they're not.
Yeah.
It's gonna sound horrible anyway.
The reason why I'm able to notice is because I watch almost all my videos at double speed, and for some reason,
The AI ones sound worse.
Correct, at double speed, they sound very different than normal.
really
At double speed.
interesting.
Now that I've said that and leaked it, they might look at it and fix that, which
Yeah.
they should probably.
Yeah, right.
It's good.
I mean,
You're-
if they fix it at double speed, I mean, I imagine that only makes it better at 1x speed.
I believe
so,
it.
Yeah.
So, but you mentioned OpenPilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a AI model that's
It's an
used to train.
AI model, trained on driving data from humans, and then it drives the car based on what it's looking at right now. It's not a language model. It's not an image generation model. It's
It's probably based on TensorFlow.
something like that. Yeah, they converted it to TinyGrad.
What the? Oh, I've heard of TinyGrad, but I have no idea what it is.
It's another version of TensorFlow, I think. Is
A bunch of
quick
these are
and,
popping up.
Rapid way to describe it. And I'm
Yeah, it's
probably
just another
wrong.
neural network. Oh, the idea TinyGrad is used in the OpenPilot to run driving models on the Snapdragon 850. I guess TinyGrad is supposed to be like TensorFlow for like phone processors.
It's like integrated
Snapdragon.
stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah, because it's still a Snapdragon 845.
Work at TinyCorp. Hey, they're hiring.
Yeah, there you go, Kyle.
So
You can buy the Tiny Box for $15,000. It's a little server rack. It sits in your garage and sucks down a bunch of power and has 144
God.
gigs of VRAM.
Yum.
On their I just looked at their blog post about how they're hiring. They just literally just posted their bank account balance to prove that they can hire people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very
Hey, look,
that's
Kyle,
a
they
very
use the same
Jordan
thing
brand.
we do.
they do, yeah.
They use
they're-
Mercury.
We're, I mean,
Am
we're
I-
always
am
talking
I-
about
okay.
it's being open good, right? They're pretty open.
All right.
I always have thought like if companies were like super transparent about like all their transactions and what their accounts were and like where it goes and like how they operate, if it would like be advantageous or disadvantageous for the
company?
company?
It'd be a huge disadvantage, like Toyota and all those car manufacturers that shoveled literally millions of dollars into legislation to say right to repair your vehicle, you know? I mean, granted, all that's open already, but just because it's like lobbying funds and everything like that. But
I've heard
that
some
looks
of
bad.
some of those are getting shot down, but not all of them is the problem.
But what I'm talking about is like from a perspective of like every single employee and also non-employee can see how the funds are being used, and it becomes very obvious if any of it is like maliciously intended.
Yeah,
it like forces you to like, it's an anti-corruption technique in a company.
I almost think it's too hard to do because like in a perfect world, it would be so obvious and stinky that you would absolutely be able to rat anybody out for like taking any kind of dirty money for anything stupid. But I just think like when you think, let's say a company is like a $6 billion company, how are you going to go through and funnel where every single dollar is coming from?
Colossal expenses.
Like at the startup level, like at the scale that we're working with on a daily basis, probably not that hard. But when you start getting into levels like ABC Corp and like Fortune 500s, it's almost impossible.
So what you're saying is we need an AI model that's trained to trace the source of every dollar.
Oh,
I can hear Ian crying himself to sleep now.
Okay, Mr. IRS agent.
Honestly, the IRS could be automated with an AI and it'd be so much better.
I agree 100%.
Well, there's the easiest take.
IRS AI is coming for you, and everyone else, your job is
next. You don't need all 68,000 of those bullets you purchase.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you know, they could just send me a bill in the mail at the end of the year and say, hey, this is what you owe in taxes. But no, instead,
at least
I've got to
tell you
do
what
it
you
right.
owe.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I've got to do it right the first time, and then I do it wrong or something, and then they show up with a bunch of guys with guns to come and shoot my dog.
No, they don't do that first. They start with
and
finding
then they
the
bill
fuck
me
out of you.
$500,000 because, you know, I missed my 2 cents in taxes that I failed to pay on XYZ expense, and then suddenly that's worth $5,000 in taxes for the rest of my life.
Who hurt you?
The IRS.
Yeah.
Or at least the stories. So then there's also just a bajillion models that exist, right? There's ones that play video games, Minecraft, Go, chess, StarCraft 2, and every single one of them like has their own like niche use case. So if there's one final thing that I definitely want everyone to know, is just do a bit of research, Google search in my industry. How can AI like help me in X industry? Like what AI is good? Even if like you just type that into ChatGPT, as access to the internet, like it's really gonna be worth staying up to date in AI from someone who's biased about knowing AI. That's it. Signing off. Thanks, everyone.
AI is beautiful.
Yeah.
It'll take my job in a few years.
Yeah. I think it'll help me keep going with mine.